Getting streams up and running. Always takes a minute to get them going. Join our illy coffee in a Kalispell Brewing cup today. Ready to go. It's red. It is Red Friday. Come on, streams. 1, 2, 2 offline, 2 of them online. Good morning. Welcome to Friday. It's Friday. You know what that means? The weekend's right around the corner. We got to get through today. And as warrant officer I used to work for says, 2 working days till Monday. Only 2 working days till Monday. Lots going on. Lots going on today. We're talking about China. Well, let's deal with this guy. We still need a name for this happy, far too happy for 7:30 in the morning, dancing coffee cup. Throw your suggestions for a name right there in the comment box below. Let's hear a name for the dancing, crazy to-go coffee cup. We need a name for him. He's got to be named before we can keep going. We got to give him a name, or we got to get rid of him. One of the two. You tell me what we need to do. Bet it's Paul online trying to watch all the chats in different ways to make sure we catch them all. Had a couple problems with that this week with Restream. Not getting the stream chats out correctly. Hopefully you're getting notified that we're going live. Hopefully that's happening for you. Like I said yesterday, the shirts are in. Yesterday we wore the RMF shirt. Today we've got the red, Remember Everyone Deployed, Red Friday shirt. I think they did a good job. I think they came out really well. Jumpin' Java. Got dual. I like that, Dennis. We got Java, coffee, Java, the language. Jumpin' Java. That's a good idea. Morning, Alex. Nice to see you. I saw your email yesterday. I haven't got back to you yet. I'll get back to you today. Just yesterday was, as they say, a dumpster fire. If you don't remember yesterday, I told you we have the fine folks from internal audit visiting me at work, so that sets the tone for the day. That's what we had yesterday. So yeah, the red shirts are out there. They're available online. I'll throw the link in the show notes. Still working out shipping. Stamps.com is who we're going to use to ship them, and their plugin's a little wonky. We haven't quite got it yet there. We have a flat shipping rate right now. I think once we get Stamps.com working, it'll be a more accurate shipping rate. We just went on the Postal Service to see what it would cost to ship a t-shirt, and that's what we ended up with. I think they're cool shirts. I do like Red Friday. Do remember those folks that are overseas doing what they can to protect us, to defend our way of life, whether you, however you want to take it. They're out there on the line for us. Quit your day job. With audit, you make it. Yesterday was close. Yesterday was pretty close with those guys. No, it wasn't that bad. It was just, the thing about internal audit, the thing about audit in general is the job they do is important. They come in to put a spotlight on processes, procedures, and the way we're doing security to make sure we're doing it correctly. So when they come in and they start asking those pointed questions, if you can't answer them, if you can't answer the pointed question that audit comes to you with, that means probably your process needs to be looked at. And I looked at some of our processes. While they're effective, they're efficient, they could use improvement. So I know I will give the audit folks a bad time, but they do serve a good purpose. Like I said, China's in the news today. ASUS is in the news today. Their router's on the chopping block today. A lot of things, including HIPAA fine. Normally we don't see that. Normally we don't see people getting fined for HIPAA violations, but that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing this HIPAA breach violation, the fine for that. Apple's released a hackable phone. Well, they've released, I'll put in air quotes, because questionable if you'll get one. Not saying you won't, but it's going to be a short list. A short list of folks get these hackable iPhones or mobile devices from Apple. And guess what today it is today? National Tequila Day. not really national, but they call it National Tequila Day. Wasn't signed off by the president or anyone. It doesn't have an actual. This is a national day, but today is National Tequila Day, so I even got a link for that. So let me get set up while the intro runs, and we'll be right back to talk about the cyber news of the day. All right. This one first off in our look around the world. We're gonna start with China. This probably doesn't affect you directly, but we need to look at these things. We need to keep an eye on these things for how these TTPs of these groups are being used, right? So there have been two Chinese hacking groups, two APT groups really, Gothic Panda and Stone Panda, have been traced as orchestrators of the majority of hacking attacks on Indian entities last month. So in Mumbai, the Mumbai Mirror reported the story first on June 20th, and it's just taken this long, I guess, to get to us on the slow boat from India. So it's 40,000 plus hacking attacks, purportedly originating from China, use types of malware to access and encrypt sensitive data of targeted public and private entities to extort ransom, typical ransomware attack. Chinese hackers managed to breach to varying extent safety protocols of at least 6 private and public targets across the country, including Delhi and Mumbai. Government-run utility power in Jammu and Kashmir were attacked as well. Activities were allegedly traced to China's southwestern province. So they used two main things to move things around. They used denial of service attacks, distributed denial of service attacks, and internet protocol hijacking. One we know, DDoS. DDoS, that's a morning song, I think. DDoS obviously just overwhelms a target. And if a site can handle the numbers from the article here, but you can make your own numbers up. If the website can handle 1,000 concurrent connections per second, we just try to hit it with 10 times that. And if we, as the attacker, can get that system to crash, then it's a denial of service. Nobody can get to the website. That's the DDoS, right? The other one is lost my train of thought here. Internet protocol hijacking. Internet protocol hijacking just routes the traffic through a known server, a server that the attacker wants you to use, so they can hopefully decrypt and browse the traffic. So, not that you're probably, I'm guessing that no one is from Mumbai or Delhi or somewhere in India, but the way these attacks went down, the way they played out, it's probably worth keeping track of, knowing this pattern, right? So DDoS and internet protocol hijacking, just a massive swarm, and then the originating source appears to be China. Obviously, that can be changed, but rerouted and things like that. But it looks like it's China. It walks like a duck and quacks like a duck. We can pretty much assume it's going to be a duck, man. That's just the way it is. So China, one of those places we got to keep an eye on, just because they don't necessarily believe in us. They know the APT threat actors, and we see these often. If you use a MITRE attack framework, those APTs are in there. A lot of these big APTs, Gothic Panda, Stone Panda, they're going to have an APT number. And I'm not sure what Gothic Panda and Stone Panda are, but we see these numbers being used, APT4, APT8. Those are tied to big acting groups, big attacker groups that we can pin a specific profile of attack on. So if they do a specific thing, if they're coming from a specific region, if they're going after a specific target, we can put them in a group, we can target them, we can trace them, we can see what they're doing, and that's important. And again, we talk about the MITRE attack tool, the MITRE attack framework. That's a good tool to lay out all the different methods of attack and see where a vulnerable attack could come and how it goes across that kill chain. it's important. I mean, it's important to know this stuff. So if you can, keep track of the APTs, know what they are. Back in the bad old days, those APTs used to be within the government only. You didn't get to know the APT numbers, the APT names, and it's just important that those are being shared now. So that's a good thing that we know about these guys. Not a good thing what they're doing. ASUS on the news as well. And it's really, the article says ASUS home router bugs open consumers to snooping attacks. There's two main attacks on here. And the first one is the ability, the firmware, when firmware updates, there's the string in there not to check the certificate. And it's essentially the line is dash no dash certificate, or no, excuse me, dash no dash check dash certificate, which means it's not going to check the security certificate of the flash that's coming or the update to the firmware, which means that an attacker could overwrite the firmware with anything and the system will not check for a certificate. Obviously, this is a flaw. To me, it's a lower level flaw. It's a lower impact flaw because you have to actually have access to the device to run the firmware update. So that's one thing. So at least you can keep a level of protection against that. The other one is a cross-site scripting vulnerability in one of the web pages, and it's in the management interface. It's on the release notes page, and they're not properly escaping the contents of the page before it's being rendered to the user. That means that a legitimate administrator could be attacked by a malicious party by using the first man in the middle, finding and chaining it with arbitrary Java code execution. They're tying it to the first exploit. I'm tying it to any exploit. If you could find any other exploit, then you can chain it to this exploit and then do bad things. The bigger thing, I think, in this article is, and this is from Threat Post, by the way, this talks more. I've got the daughter's dogs this weekend, so maybe you hear Yachty. Apologize for that. And Piper, of course. Of course, they think nobody should be walking outside. But the bigger thing is they looked at this bombshell security review linked in the article. Reviews 127 popular home routers and found most contained at least one critical security flaw, according to researchers. Not only did all of the routers the research examined have flaws, many are affected by hundreds of known vulnerabilities. On average, the routers analyzed by vendors such as D-Link, Netgear, ASUS, Linksys, TP-Link, and Zectel were affected by 53 critical rated vulnerabilities, or CVEs. Even the most secure of the device having 21 CVEs, according to the report. So they looked at 127 of these home routers. And generally they're home routers. They're not big professional ones. And they found that on average, there were 53 critical rated CVEs. That's huge. And the best of them had 21. So that's a big thing. So the big point on this one is, what they're going to want to do, what the bad guy's going to want to do is get on your device. If they get on your edge device, your router, that means they have access to all the traffic coming into or out of your network. They can sit right there and just monitor everything. Obviously, it's encrypted. That helps some. So if you're using web traffic, you're doing HTTPS, that's going to help. But you don't want the bad guy in your network. So patching is important. They say that ASUS has already released a patch for this flaw, these two flaws that are detailed in the article. So patch your systems. Hopefully, because this report came out, everyone will release patches. So regardless of what piece of network gear you have, letting traffic in and out of anywhere on your network, really. Let's back that up. Wherever you've got these devices, go ahead and update them. Get them updated. Make sure that they are ready to go, and don't have any of these bad patches in here. I'm gonna kick the dogs upstairs next time. Shouldn't let them hang out with me. I'm used to Piper hanging out with me. She doesn't normally make a big old bunch of noise, but visiting dogs, they do. HIPAA's in the news. We don't hear a lot about HIPAA. HIPAA is one of those things, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act is in place to protect patient information. So federal regulators, who's this story by? Let's see who this is from. This is from Gov Info Security. They're on the news more. I see their articles more and more. What you got, Alex? Anyone else think the dog must be huge? That dog eats Jim as a whole. Who does say if the dog eats the Jim as a whole? Who does the show on Monday? I don't know. We're gonna have Alex do it probably. Maybe have him dial in remote. Yeah, Yachty's giant. He's a giant golden retriever and then Piper's just noisy. Piper's a pit mix. Someday I put the pictures up for them. They're just part of the daily. Piper, at least, part of the daily show. She's down here most mornings with me. So, anyways, back to the story. Federal regulators have slapped a small provider of a discounted medical and dental services in underserved patients in rural North Carolina with a $25,000 HIPAA settlement in a case involving an email breach that occurred over a decade ago. Shows you sometimes how fast these things can move. Settlement the Department of Health and Human Services announced this year. It's only the second one they've done, and this I could feel the pain for these guys. They're trying to do the right thing, but they're out there and they're exposing patient data. So they're doing the right thing, but in the wrong way. And the reason I highlighted this particular article is that if you are thinking about hanging up your own shingle, about building your own security practice and working for yourself, which I think is a great idea, know that there are dangers. So if you are going to take care of places like this, like hospitals, and really more like small dentist offices, small private practices, those things like that, make sure you get those things like errors and omission insurance. Make sure you're covered. But I think there's a huge market for people in communities that go out and take care of these doctors and dentists that don't have a huge practice, that don't have a huge IT or a huge security department that can help them out. These guys are going to get dinged for this. They, cut and dry. At the end of the day, they exposed patient data, and it was exposed through email, and that's a violation of the law. That's just cut and dry. When you take it to court, that's what happened. They're all a bit upset, just because we're the small guy. We're trying to do the right thing out here in North Carolina. We're taking care of people. We're doing the right thing. But they had the breach, and their other point is there's so many other companies that are doing the same thing, which is your 8-year-old kid's response, but Johnny did it too. And that's kind of what they're saying. They're saying, well, yeah, we were wrong, but these guys are wrong too, and they're bigger than us. A terrible defense. I don't know why these guys were picked out, but HIPAA, the settlement this year was from HHS, or Health and Human Services Office for Civil Rights, and they announced in March. The other one was a $100,000 settlement with a Utah medical practice of Stephen A. Porter, MD. What a way to get in the news. So these are the two fines, a doctor in Utah and this small medical and dental clinic. Last year, the Office of Civil Rights announced 13 HIPAA enforcement actions, totaling about $15.3 million. So by this point last year, it was the fines or the settlements were $6.1 million. So this year we're about $125,000, a lot less than last year. I think there's probably some easing of the restrictions or easing of enforcements because of COVID. There's so many other things HHS has to worry about right now. They're probably not worrying about HIPAA enforcement. But it's going to come around. After we come out the other side of this thing, the HIPAA law is going to be, it is a law. Remember that. It's a law that's enforceable. Um, so if you're thinking about, what should I do as a job? I don't want to work for somebody else, right? Maybe where I'm at doesn't have a lot of, military or government or big industry. There's a ton of doctors and dentists and other, even small organizations that need security services. They can't pay for them. The part you're going to have to do, if you're going to do this, is figure out how you sell something, because a lot of people don't want to buy security, because if security does a good job, you never see it. It's like the phone. If the phone is working right, you never think about it. You only think about it when it doesn't work. When the phone doesn't work, then you're mad about it. But all the rest of the time, you don't think about your phone. Same thing with security. It's hard. They don't think about it until it's needed, and it's hard to pay for it. So you got to market. How do you market that? There's some great ideas. Do you package it? You package yourself with IT services, installing network gear and providing security, or is it just straight security? That's a choice you're going to have to think about. But think about things like this. There are breaches out there. These are both warning signs for you when you're going, and make sure you have all your ducks in a row. Make sure you have those insurance, the correct level of insurance for what you're doing. But it's also an opportunity. So every time we see these challenges, we see opportunity. So there is opportunity for you to do something, to build your own practice if you'd like. It's a lot of work. I can tell you that from experience. It's a lot of work. A lot more context, a lot more information in the article. Talks about the case impacted 1,300 individuals. They said just the incident revealed long-standing non-compliance with the HIPAA security rule. Systemic, there's the word. Long-standing systemic non-compliance with the HIPAA security rule. HIPAA security rule means just that if you have access to people's healthcare information, private healthcare information, or PHI, it's your responsibility to safeguard it. That's essentially the HIPAA rule boiled down to a small sentence. But yeah, there's every place there's things like this that come up. They are opportunities for people to start something new. You could be in your town, your community. Maybe you might have to have a wide area, but you could be the security person for your community. Rats are in the news. Not the kind that eat cheese, but Dacls RAT goals are to steal customer data and spread ransomware. So Kaspersky looked at this thing, and the Dakil remote access Trojan is capable of attacking Windows, Linux, and Mac OS environments. Is distributed VHD ransomware to target customer databases and attempt exfiltration, according to researchers. So they looked at this thing. They said, normally what it does is it's going to go in and it's going to try to exfiltrate data and then encrypt your data so they can get some money, get some cash. So Kaspersky calls this thing MATA, M-A-T-A. And they're looking at it, identifying victims in Poland, Germany, Turkey, Korea, Japan, and India right now. They've tied it to the Lazarus group, or Hidden Cobra, which again is another APT you should know, just based on 2 file names that are in the structure of the file itself. The other thing they pointed out, and the article goes on to talk about a lot of stuff, the 2 other key points they're pointing out is this thing has some pretty good modular capabilities, right? So it's got modules that can be used for a bunch of different things. C2 communication, command and control, creating HTTP proxy servers, manipulating files, manipulation of processes, and these modules could be loaded as they want. So that's the one thing they pointed out, is this getting advanced. This RAT is getting more advanced in the way it works. And the other thing they point out is because the Lazarus group is including things like Linux and Mac OS in their attack profile, that means they think that they have more than enough Windows attack tools. And we think, depending on what statistics you read, there's between 85 and 95% of environments run on Windows. And we're not talking about server backends. We're talking about the normal environments that are end user facing. We know there's a ton of Linux in the server world, but 95% of the world is running on Windows. Um, so of course the attack profile for these guys should be Windows heavy, and that's how it's been in the past. But now we're seeing they're writing malware for Linux and Mac systems, which means they're going over the lower population um, operating systems. So these are one of two things. They think that they have enough Windows attack tools to do the job. They don't need any more. They're good to go. They've got enough. Or maybe there's a specific target they're after that uses Linux and Mac. One of the two things. So yeah, it's one of the things we look at. Know that it's out there. Know these, not just this rat. No, not just this Trojan. You know that we have to be aware of these things. Kaspersky's saying that the profile for this thing is in their antivirus, anti-malware product, as it is with most anti-malware and antivirus programs out there. So make sure you're running antivirus. Make sure you're patching your systems. Make sure that you're keeping those things updated. Update your definition files. And a lot of people that put, the antivirus on their system, they'll never update it, or you run it for a year and they don't pay for the renewal, so they don't get any new definitions. That's bad. That's bad news. That's bad news, regardless of if you're on Windows or Mac or Linux. You need to have some type of protection. I think even Windows Defender is pretty good. It's not a bad product. So I think that's a good thing. Know the why. Why they want to get in here. They want to get in here. In this case, they want to get your money or your data. So they're going to try to exfiltrate your data. They're going to try to encrypt your data so that then they can extort you for money. Our defense on this thing is updating our software, updating our antivirus, and having that antivirus in place. And I would say some good old-fashioned end-user training as well. The federal agencies, we got a couple of them, NSA and CISA. As you know, my favorite government agency, but worst named government agency, CISA. They're warning about hackers targeting critical infrastructure. And this is from a joint statement from both NSA and CISA. Thursday, they warned that foreign hackers are attempting to target U.S. critical infrastructure, and they're specifically warned that internet-connected operational technology, or OT assets, used throughout U.S. defense systems were often targets of malicious cyber actors attempting to hit critical infrastructure such as systems providing water, gas, and electricity. Obviously, these are probably more important things in the West than other parts of the country. So as they're being attacked, they can obviously do a greater level of damage to us in the United States than maybe some countries that, especially if they're third world, they're not so reliant on these automated systems and even the infrastructures that are provided by these automated systems. This is an article by The Hill. Goes on to say, due to the increase in adversary capabilities and activity, the criticality of U.S. national security and way of life, and the vulnerability of OT systems, civilian infrastructure makes attractive targets to foreign powers attempting to do harm to U.S. interests or retaliate for perceived U.S. aggression. If, and I guess, again, this may or may not impact you, but no, we're seeing an increase in attacks on critical infrastructure. And if you think about the way these things normally work, is the attack, if it's straight on, it's going to be a straight on attack on critical infrastructure. That's going to be the first plan. We just, we're going to say Larry's water pumping company provides water services to some town. They're going to try to attack that directly. And if his defenses for Larry's water pumping service are too strong and they can't get in, then what we try to do is attack those organizations around that support that thing. So maybe they can't attack critical infrastructure, a power grid directly, but maybe they can affect a supplier or a vendor or another company that's tied to providing services to the power company, or that provide some type of connectivity or something. So if you're in one of those roles, supporting the DoD or supporting the government, be aware as well. That's really why 171 came out. That's why we kind of pushed mini RMF to anybody supporting the DoD, the government, I should say. So check out the article. That's a good article about operational technology, OT assets, things we got to be aware of. But weird that, well, not weird, but it's nice that CISA and NSA are working together. It's a joint statement. Anne had a statement on too. Anne Newberg, director of NSA's Cybersecurity Directorate, said in a statement, operational technology assets are pervasive and underpin many essential national security functions. So one of the things we got to keep these things strong. And a lot of times these things, these OT assets or SCADA assets in some cases, don't get the attention they need. The article cites one recent attack cited by the agencies was a thwarted attack on a water system in Israel. We talked about this. That was reported by Cyberscoop in May. The attacks targeted industrial computers at the water facility. The head of Israel's National Cyber Directorate said, describing it as a synchronized and organized attack. And isn't that one I think they pretty much tied that back to Iran. And we did talk about it in the morning show. So a lot of stuff going on there. Last in the hopper this morning, Apple is releasing a device that's going to go out to security researchers. It's a special purpose iPhone, and this article from Wired magazine is saying they're going to distribute this to elite security researchers. That's the way the article puts this. The idea was to offer a device that had fewer constraints, allowing researchers to hone in on security vulnerabilities more easily without first having to work around standard iOS defenses. Starting today, you can get your hands on one. You can apply for one. Think about this one, Apple's been pretty protective of their devices. Even folks that have built emulators that have allowed researchers to go in and find out what's going on, kind of got slapped down. They've got in trouble. They've got sued by Apple. But it's really hard to find vulnerabilities if you can't break the device. So a lot of times jailbreak the device, get in there. This is going to be an easier way. And the thing Apple said, one of the reasons they're releasing this, Apple said, if you jailbreak the device, then you've removed some of the security features that are in place in iOS. So some of those security features are out of the way. So when you uncover a security vulnerability, it may not necessarily be vulnerability because you've removed some of those security protections. So in this way, they're going to offer these phones to elite hackers for a year, and that can be extended, but you've got to apply for one. And you've got to have an established track record of finding iOS bugs, or you've got expertise in another platform you can prove, and you want to start on iOS bug finding. So if you're a bug hunter, if you're a reverse engineer or something like that, this may be the device for you. If you are an elite, what was their term? Elite security researcher, go ahead and apply for one of these things. I don't know, you'll get one. I'm sure they're pretty limited, pretty controlled who's getting these things. But it's out there. And you need to know what's going on today, what the day is. Today is National Tequila Day. CNN has an article about tequila, about some facts about tequila. Things you may or may not know. It's kind of like champagne. It has to come to be real tequila. It's got to come from Tequila, Mexico. It's got to come from that region. And then the difference between mezcal and tequila. Some stuff you can read about Tequila Day. Obviously it's Friday, so it might be a good day for a margarita or something like that. Out here in Virginia, it's definitely hot enough. I think we're probably going to be in the high 90s again today. The other thing I wanted to do today, and that wraps up the news. That wraps up what we're talking about. That wraps up the overview of what's going on. What I want to do is I want to talk about one of our projects. And I'm excited because The piece came in the mail yesterday. So stay with me. Hopefully I can get... Oh, hold on a second. You've got to turn your camera on. On. There we go, right? No, still not. No, we might have just turned it off. Let's see. Let's see if we can make this thing work. Let's get this. Let's get the right camera. Yeah, I think I just turned it off. That's okay. Let's get this thing. Is it not? There we go. There we go. Get the down shot now. Obviously, make sure you can figure out your dang equipment before you get started. So, what is going on here? This is a Stream Deck, by the way. This is how I can make the pictures show up on the screen, the little Chinese flags and stuff. And then I got microphones trying to make you guys hear me. But we got this here. And let me grab my, where's my... camera effects. There we go. There we go. Got that one. We can zoom in a bit. So, Tron, excellent movie. I had to go on eBay and find this, but it is the actual VHS tape, and I hopefully can. It's got a weird light going on there that direction. So, it's just the little grid pattern really freaks the camera. I don't know if you guys are seeing that. But that's Tron, and I've been waiting for this because we've got this video game Raspberry Pi project to build using RetroPie. So I want to build the Raspberry Pi inside of this case. So that's the project. That's the case. This will be the case, and I didn't get one of these it's all nice and sealed and like new. This has got some wear on it. It's not one of the ones people want to collect probably, because what I'm going to be doing is taking this apart, taking the insides out, and pretty much throwing them away. There's nothing really you can do with them. And I'm putting this in there. And we looked at this before. So this is the gaming kit. It's a Raspberry Pi 4, 4 gigabytes of RAM. So the cool thing about this, comes with the 2 joysticks. It comes with our Raspberry Pi, and obviously when we open this thing up, there is the Pi. Cool thing about the Raspberry Pi, now the 4, obviously the normal USB out. So we've got the USB and USB 3. We've got our Ethernet, and then we've got 2, count them, 2 HDMI out. So two mini HDMI out. So we can run this on 2 monitors. We'll probably just run on 1, and we have a USB-C power source. Great little thing. It's gonna fit in there pretty tight. So that's the Raspberry. Everything on these Pis, just, I love the Raspberry Pi. This particular one, comes with a ton of good stuff. It comes with the case, should we want to use it. Decent case. We may actually use this for another Pi. So we got a case. That's actually, let's go ahead and take that out for you guys. So it's nice to get a case. You can put it's got a place for a camera. It's got a mount. It's got obviously the good stuff you'd expect from a case. So we throw our Raspberry Pi in there. This should be our heat sink and stuff, I would imagine. No, power cord, power supply, quick start guide, cable. So there is our USB to USB-C cable, and here's all the good stuff. So it does come with the 32 gig card, a bunch of little tiny heat sinks that we will attach because this thing runs pretty hot. A little fan, so we put a little fan in there to cool things down, and of course a little screwdriver to make things happen, and our adapter for our card so we can actually use it. There we go. So it's we can put our micro SD card in there and we can load it up with RetroPie. Quick start guide's in here as well. Look at that thing. That's your quick start guide. But this thing, I think, is going to be a cool project. I think it's going to be a fun project to do. I think it's going to be something that that we can enjoy. Let's get back to this view. So that's what we got going on. Bunch of stuff here. We're going to start cutting, get the Dremel out, cutting Tron apart. It should all fit in there. You pull this out, plug your power in, plug it into your TV, and plug your game controllers in, and you'll have RetroPie. RetroPie is cool. Plays all your old favorite arcade games, Nintendo, all that good stuff can be supported by the RetroPie. So that's what we got going on. Hopefully you got good stuff going on this weekend. Hopefully lots of fun stuff planned for you. You know, it's going to be hot, so if you're out here in the area I'm at, stay cool, stay under control, stay dry, I guess. But until Monday, I'm going to try to put my stuff back away if I can get that fit back in there. Until Monday, you guys be safe out there, as Mike Bravo would say. Go get some, and I appreciate you getting up in the morning or watching this later in the day. If you can, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell, share with your friends. We'd love to see you. Wednesday, next week coming up, is Trivia Night. Trivia Night's coming up Wednesday, 7 o'clock East Coast time. Be there or be square. Share that with your friends. Let's see if we can get out. All the good trivia stuff's going out. So that's all I can say. That's all I can say. Enjoy your day. And we will see you bright and early on Monday. Be safe out there and go get some.